Welcome to another edition of the Gulo.
Welcome to our late week episode of the Gulo edition, episode number 7, I believe. And we have our good friend Dan May here again with us. How are you doing, Dan?
I'm good, Zach. Thanks for having me on this fun conversation show.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is, man. Especially after last weekend, we're able to have a lot of good conversations, and really for these next couple moments together, we're going to be doing just that. We're going to kind of recap. I want to hear from you on the Michigan football side, that debacle in Ann Arbor, where we're at as a program. You know, the ship seems to be going down. We're at a fork in the road. We don't know where we're going. Some people are off. If you listen to our show on Monday, I was already at the bottom. I was with the remnants of the Titanic with Edmund Fitzgerald at the bottom of the ocean, and Kyle was still kind of swimming above surface with hope. And so I'm excited to hear your take on that. And then after that, we're going to jump into some basketball and some hockey as well, because man, we just got the news today that college hockey starting back up, and Michigan starting back up November 14th and 15th, and also basketball as well in November. And I'm excited. There's a lot of fun things happening there with Coach Howard and that team. And so, but man, I want to hear from you a little bit. Going back to last Saturday, man, it's that wasn't something we expected, not expected at all. I'm not surprised that Michigan State came out playing the way they did. I told Becky they will never make those throws again this season. They made every throw that they could. You know, there were some calls that didn't go our way, but in the end, we failed to show up. You know, we failed to prepare Monday through Friday, and in the game, in the film room, and on the practice field, whatever it was, our coaches top down, it just seemed like they pulled the classic Harbaugh at Michigan in the last 5-6 years, and that's losing a big game during the season, which kind of crushes your hopes for the rest of the year, because you kind of know how the last game against Ohio State is going to turn out. So I want to hear from you, man. What are your thoughts on the game, and where's this program moving forward? What does it look like?
Yeah, so fantastic show with you and Kyle last episode, because I thought it really it showed a couple different perspectives, right? Yours was very raw, very emotional, which is where I was Saturday. So last time I was on the show, I talked about how the last time my dad and I sat down for a Michigan State game was the punt fumble that my dad got up and walked out. And we thought this was the year that my dad and I could sit down and watch the Michigan State game again and really break this curse. Needless to say, my dad walked up and left in the middle of the fourth quarter. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to watch a Sparty game again with my father. So it was really raw. I mean, I think all of us as Michigan fans, you saw it on Twitter, you saw it all over social media. You know, we were upset because us as layman football fans, we saw what wasn't getting corrected. It was the defensive backs being left on an island that was just uncalled for, right? When you have one of the best safeties in college football in Daxton Hill not being utilized better to protect, you know, Vincent Gray, who was just getting picked on the entire game, as well as when we were left on the islands, you know, the officiating was calling things all game. Very one-sided, but that's just being a casual fan. But there certainly needs to be some perspective, because, you know, I asked myself, what if we lost this way to a Nebraska or to a Purdue? I think we would still be upset, but I think there's something very personal about the fact that we lost to little brother, right? Yeah. Especially, you know, for myself, my little brother is a huge Michigan State fan. So to have to hear that, to have to hear that, you know, and to rub it in our face that a team that, you know, most Spartan fans would admit was not up to par to where Michigan should have been. We were 24.5-point favorites, and we lost at home to them. Yeah, it was frustrating. But for a little bit of perspective, this was Joe Milton's second game. Our defensive backs were missing Ambry Thomas. You know, our wide receivers are young. They were missing Nico Collins. And we knew that was gonna show itself eventually. I didn't think it was gonna be the Michigan State game, I think the most frustrating part of Saturday's game was Michigan State definitely wanted it more, and it showed from the kickoff to the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, and you mentioned, if this were to happen against Nebraska or against Purdue, like, we would be upset. I mean, you got to think last year when we laid an egg in Madison, it was the same thing. It wasn't little brother, but it still hurt because you just saw how unprepared the team was. And I think if that were to happen against Purdue and Nebraska, we would still be upset. Obviously, we would still be questioning Harbaugh and stuff, but it just elevates it more when it's Michigan State. And man, that's a game that you have to win. And I think what surprises me so much is Jim Harbaugh is a previous player here. He played in those rivalries, and yeah, between 1969 and I think 2007 when Lloyd Carr, after he retired, Michigan lost a total of 3 games at home against Michigan State, and in Harbaugh's tenure, we've already lost 3 at home. And so it's just kind of like, man, like, what is the culture that he set when he walked through the door, and what is the culture now? Like, are they wanting to get up for these games? And I understand we're missing a couple of players, and it's just hurtful, man. It's just kind of like, gosh, like, I want to trust him. I want to be able to dream. He's just making it very, very difficult for that. And then too, something that's been on my heart with it is like, why are these guys opting out? Ambry Thomas, I can understand because he did have that stomach issue last year, some health things. So a part of me is like, all right, with COVID and things that can put you at higher risk, I can understand if he doesn't want to come back. But it's like Nico Collins just kind of sitting on that for a while, and then coming out the statement 2 days before the first game against Minnesota, and saying why he wasn't coming back. And so it's just like, or Donovan Peoples-Jones leaving early, Tariq Black having attitude issues and transferring. In the past, you had Rashawn Gary leave early. It's just like the culture they're setting. Why are these players opting out? Is it a me-centered mindset at Michigan right now, or is it really about the team? What do you think?
Yeah. So, and besides Rashawn Gary, these weren't first round picks,
That's
right?
true.
These guys had opportunities to continue to build their portfolio to rise in the draft class, potentially fall too, but they could, raise their ceiling and become a higher draft class. And that's the frustrating thing. Last time I was on, I said I understood Nico's stance on why he opted out, and to a point I still do. And
Yeah.
And one thing too I didn't mention is Nico's still going to school. Nico's going to graduate. He's still taking classes at Michigan, so that it wasn't even a school thing. I think it was that was a business decision he made. But Nico right now is projected to be a 5th or 6th round pick. You can't tell me with a guy like Joe Milton and with a running back core that it couldn't have been improved.
Yeah.
And that's where I get frustrated is, you try to bring in the aspects that Bo Schembechler, brought to Michigan, the team, but we're still not seeing a lot of that. Now, we had a guy like Chase Winovich who I thought exemplified that perfectly. My question is, who's the next Chase Winovich? I saw a lot of great quotes from Josh Ross. Josh Ross, right?
Yeah.
To me, like, he's really starting to step up and make the quotes that a leader can be. And he keeps, they're ready to move forward because they know they've got a big task in front of them in Indiana, who hasn't beat them since 1987. But that one may sting more than Sparty.
Yeah, I mean, and they're coming in not just as a good team, but they're coming in very confident from their first 2 games of the season. And I tell you what, man, those players would die for that coach. Like it is. Even if we had beat Sparty, I would be very cautious going into this game. I mean, if there was going to be any games we would drop this year before the season started, even though I predicted undefeated, I would have claimed Indiana and Ohio State. But now that Michigan State beat us the way they did, it could play in our advantage. This could be the classic, Michigan gets beat in that stupid loss every year, and then they bounce back and they play really good. I don't know, man. I don't know. Indiana's pretty fast, and they've seemed to expose their defense, especially in the secondary, the last few years.
Some of my favorite movies are the Rocky movies. And in Rocky 3, when Rocky loses the Clubber Lang, it really got him focused. So the question is going to be for Michigan, are they going to be focused or are they going to be defeated? Just wait till the Ohio State game. I've got another Rocky reference for that one.
Yeah, hold on to it. Don't want to wrap that too soon. It's not Christmas yet. Oh man, yeah. Again, man, as we look at the Harbaugh tenure again, I could go on Michigan State all day with that, and we got to move on. We have Indiana this week, and the only thing we can do as fans is, we're never going to be a fan of any other team. We love Michigan, win or lose, and so we got to keep moving on. But you look at the Harbaugh tenure here, man, and it's he hasn't done a bad job. He's actually done a really good job. I mean, he's beaten most of the teams he's supposed to beat, besides a couple here and there with, Michigan State, same thing in 2017 when we lost to them. It's just, he's losing the games that you can't lose as a Michigan head coach. You can't lose as a Michigan team. You have to beat your rivals. I was listening to Doug Skeen's buddy, Chris Ballas, who was talking this past week, and he said when Jim Tressel first went to Ohio State, the first meeting they had, he was talking to a previous Ohio State player. Jim Tressel walked in there, and the room was talking and stuff, and he told the whole room to shut up. And he said it got so quiet they couldn't hear a pin drop. And he said, I am sick and tired of the bull crap of this team losing to that team up north. That ends now. And ever since then, there was a split focus from this isn't happening anymore. Our focus is to beat Michigan. Our focus is to do that. And man, Harbaugh came in and he did a lot of good stuff. He, continuing to build and expound on the brand, and the program's great. The players' names are on the right side of the newspaper, that they're not getting in trouble. Everything's going well. Stadiums being filled, people are graduating. It's still top university academically, and the football team's been in the top 15 3 or 4 of the last 5 years. And so but man, he just hasn't gotten up for those big games, and those are the games that we are expected to compete and win in as the University of Michigan. So I just want to get your take, man. Where are you at with Jim Harbaugh? Where do we move forward? How do we move
so it took me a couple days to put my pitchfork down. And for me, the way I always can look at things objectively is look at the numbers, right? And the last great Michigan coach I think we can agree on was Lloyd Carr, right? We love Lloyd. So in Lloyd's first 5 years, he was 49-13. Harbaugh in his first 5 years is 47-18. All right. So that tells me he's on the right track. He's off by a couple games. Of course, we can dig deeper into that, realize he hasn't beaten Ohio State. We just lost to Sparty again. But he's on the right track objectively. The second thing I wanted to do, and this was more of a passion project, is one of the things us as Michigan fans we love to do is we love to brag about us being the winningest program ever, right? We got the most wins out of everyone. And then we always, try to forget the fact we're also one of the longest tenured programs in this nation. Besides the point. So I looked at the top 15 winningest programs ever. All right. Couple things I was surprised about. One, out of the top 15 winningest programs, 4 of them are non-Power 5 schools. You had Yale, Harvard, Penn, and Princeton are all in the top 15. So we're just going to exclude those. I didn't care. So out of those top 15 from during Harbaugh's era, Michigan's 6th in the winning percentage. We could be in a lot worse shape. Looking at the schools like Texas. Texas has 12 less losses or 12 less wins than Michigan during Harbaugh's era, and has had to go through multiple coaches. You look at teams like Notre Dame, one of our fierce rivals. We hate the Irish. We have more wins than Notre Dame during Harbaugh's era. But yet we don't hear Notre Dame crying for Brian Kelly to lose his job, especially ever since he's embraced, being calmed down Brian Kelly.
Yoga.
Look at schools Kelly. That's it. Look at schools like University of Southern California. The other USC, as us in South Carolina like to say. USC is 42-24 during that era, with almost a 10% less, 10% less in winning percentage than Michigan. But it tells me, hey, there's certainly a cycle in college football, and unfortunately right now we keep comparing ourselves to the Ohio States and to the Alabamas that are just going on a great run right now.
Mm-hmm.
The question is going to be, is Harbaugh going to find what it takes to get them there? Mm-hmm. And for me, just like your brother Kyle, who had some great stats last episode, I'm willing to give that another shot. I'm willing to keep extending that out and to see if he can figure it out. Because to me, I don't know if a coaching change or a head coaching change is going to make a huge difference, right? Yeah. If there's a guy that's going to bring in a Michigan culture, it's going to be Harbaugh. Now, that being said, let's talk about Don Brown and his refusal to change on adjustments. Because we've seen this for a few years now when teams decide to start picking on the defensive backs, and the lack of adjustments drive us wild. Mm. And that has to change. The team has to become much more flexible.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, dude. You hit it right on the head. I think Don Brown's – first of all, I miss DJ Durkin. I mean, he obviously hasn't had a great track record after Michigan in different areas of life. But, I mean, when he was at Michigan in 2015, dude, our defense was just good. And we don't need a great defense in 2020. It's not old school football anymore. The whole defense wins championships. Like, okay, it does, but realistically, you're not going to hold defenses today, especially Ohio State and Alabama's and Clemson's to, 14 points or 10 points. And so you just have to be able to be flexible enough and stop being so darn predictable, because that's exactly what it is. That scheme that Michigan State had set up had D'Antonio written all over it. I mean, they exposed the weakest part of our defense, and they went after it all game. And they're like, you know what? This is what we're going to do. We're going to run the ball, and we're going to try to make 3, 4, 5 big plays through the air, and we're going to beat you through that. We're going to win by that. We're going to lose by that. And when they figured out that Michigan wasn't adjusting, they just continued to do that over and over and over again. And the whole game, I'm just like, man, I wonder if Dax Hill's wondering why the heck he flipped his commit from Alabama to come here and play in this junk, because I feel for him. And then you look on the offense side of the ball, and Josh Gaddis is just, he even admits it, I failed to prepare well this week. It's like, yeah, your game plan was awful. And the same with the defense. It's Don Brown's big question, man. And ultimately it comes down to Jim Harbaugh. Yep. You have to make that decision. Are you going to sit here and pay a guy millions of dollars to continue to get beat, or are you going to bring somebody in that makes an offense actually have to do in-game adjustments? Because they're not having to do that right now. And you know what? I will agree with you on the point that Jim Harbaugh has had a good tenure here. Even Paul Feinbaum said he's an above-average coach right now. He's doing a good job. Not a great job, but he's doing a good job. And I think if you look at the end of Lloyd Card's tenure, he wasn't doing too hot against Ohio State. If he would have stayed there another 4 years, he would have probably lost all 4 of those games. I mean, Jim Tressel had his number, and let's admit Ohio State right now is playing the best football probably at the height of their history. And so I think even Woody Hayes would be surprised at how Ohio State has been playing the last 5-6 years. And so,
I think just real quick on that note too, Zach, is Ohio State didn't go through a Rich Rod, Brady Hoke era too, that Jim Harbaugh's had to pick up and flip, right? They had the Luke Fickell year, right? And we love the Luke Fickell year, but that was still a solid year for them.
Yeah.
And they were quickly able to make that adjustment and to bring in Urban Meyer. Jim Harbaugh had a whole lot more work in front of him than Urban did, with even with the sanctions and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, Michigan wasn't only dealing with issues on the field, but they had AD issues. They had things going on behind the scenes to where everything was turned upside down. I mean, it was a mess, man. It was a mess. For those of you interested in that mess, go read John U. Bacon's book, the rise, the fall, and the return of Michigan football. He tells you exactly in there what happened, and even from the inside of things, not just from on the field stuff, but even behind the scenes. And so, I have hope in the brand of Michigan. I have hope in the brand of Michigan. I think I don't want to see Harbaugh go. I mean, I love the guy. I feel bad for him, honestly. I know he wants it. It's not that he doesn't want it. It's just gosh, what is it going to take this guy to just prepare? What is it going to take this guy to be his old self? Like, what is going on here? Because, man, I don't want another 5-6 years to pass by and we're still in the same boat. I mean, we're not a rebuilding team anymore. We have the tools to do it. We need our coach to step up and make those right decisions. And so, I'm hoping, man. I'm not hopeful, but I'm hoping. And the best thing for us is to just win the rest of our games, and hopefully Ryan Day doesn't stick to his word and hang 100 on us like he said he was going to. That way we can leave the season 6-2 and go win one of those cross games out in Champions Week and get to a decent bowl game. But what is the biggest thing of improvement you want to see this week before we move on here? What is the biggest thing of improvement you want to see this week for Michigan's team?
Yeah, so God bless them, but our cornerbacks need help.
Yeah.
And that needs to happen one of two ways. Either get creative with the blitzes, because I think Kwity Paye is a little beat up right now. Aiden Hutchinson is, to me, a lot better at the run stuffing than he is getting to the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Or you need to start utilizing your safeties a lot more and provide some coverage help. That's what we have to see, because if not, then Indiana's going to torch them.
Yeah, that's good, man. I would say the same thing. Especially,
go
ahead.
I was just going to say on the offensive side of the ball, man, if running up the middle is not working, stop doing it. I mean, you've got speed that Michigan has never seen. Man, remember when Eddie McDoom first came to Michigan and they ran that jet sweep, and we all were like, what is this? And we all started the Doom chants. We have like 6 Eddie McDooms now. What are we doing with them?
Exactly, man.
I would love to see some more creativity.
I'm right there with you. I think Indiana's going to score a lot on us, so they have to get creative. They have to do more Blake Corum stuff around the edge. I don't know why they stopped doing that. Again, failed preparation offensively. So my biggest thing too, man, is going to be if Joe Milton is still learning the ways and he's not going to be able to throw a ball accurate over 10 yards, then you better come up with a good defensive game plan. You better know right there, and they should have known that. Our quarterback's not where he needs to be right now. And so we need to make sure we give him the best help we can get. And they did not do that, even on the defensive side of the ball. So, again, better game plan defensively and, play selection. Use our strengths on offense. Whatever you have to do, get out of here with a win. But we'll see. I'll be taking Becky hiking this weekend for her birthday. So I will not even be on my phone watching the game, tuning into it, because I need a week to cool off. But I'll be tuning in, and hopefully I can watch the highlights afterwards and be impressed and happy with how our coaching staff bounced back. But
hopefully, with Becky's permission, you can turn your phone on and just see the list of text messages from me, and you'll know how that game is going before you even watch it.
Yeah, how that game is going. I'll see it from you, from Kyle, and some other friends and family of how it's going. And so just send it all in gifts, and I'll be able to see how it's going. But in better news, the great thing about the University of Michigan is we don't just have a good football team. We don't just have an exciting. Well, right now I would say we're down in the dumps, but I would say we have an exciting, fun, traditional football team to watch. But not only that, dude, we have one of the best college basketball programs in the country right now. Juwan Howard not building it himself, taking it over from Coach B after he left. Man, we got some exciting stuff coming up there. We have a hockey team that's ranked number 12 coming in to the season. We have a baseball team where I would really love to see how far they went last year with everybody coming back. They lost a bunch of people. We'll see where that goes. But man, let's jump into basketball and hockey a little bit. What are some things that you're looking forward to this basketball team? Because, dude, Juwan Howard, he's doing something that I just love his personality. All right, I'm not harking on Harbaugh at all. He's just got a super dry personality. Juwan, man, he just loves these boys, and you just see the selflessness in him. He loves the university. He loves where he's come from, and having his boy come to want to play with him as a coach. It's hard to play with your dad. Even when you're growing up and your dad's your coach, that's hard enough, but you're kind of forced to do it. He decided to come to play at the same place where his dad was coaching. That shows something right there just about his personality. And I love everything about him, man. What is exciting you about this coming up basketball season?
So I think Michigan basketball is right where it loves to be, where it's being underestimated to a point.
Yep.
So I looked at some projections, and right now it's supposed to be, at the bottom half of Big Ten. Now, Big Ten basketball is great, right? They're even
Yeah.
projecting the Rutgers to finally make the tournament, which they haven't done in 30 years. But this year, I would love to just see growth, right?
Yeah.
We lost two of our top 5 scorers this year, in Xavier Simpson and John Teskey. But Juwan Howard did a great job of replacing them, especially this year being kind of a gap year, because right now Michigan's got the number 1 recruiting class highlighted by Caleb Houston,
Dude.
along with 4 more or 3 more 4-stars right to boot. So what does Juwan Howard go do? He gets 2 transfers, 2 of the top transfers, and Mike Smith, all the way from Columbia University, when he was averaging 22.5 points a game. And then also brought in, I got to make sure I pronounce this right, Chandi Brown from Wake Forest. And between then, we went from losing about 22 points a game. And if those guys carry over their season from last year, that's going to replace it with about 32 points a game. Now, Mike Smith was not on very good teams in Columbia, so we're going to have to wait and see. And Xavier Simpson was 3rd in the country in assists last year, so we got to make sure they can play the Juwan Howard type of positionalist basketball. And then with Teskey leaving, he replaces him with the Hunter Dickinson, who was one of our top recruits for this year, who's got the same type of body style. He's going to play back to the basket type basketball, and he's going to be supported by a super veteran grad transfer backcourt. Yeah. So yes, us as Michigan fans, we can get overexcited, but man, I think there's weapons there for us to surprise them. Remember last year they were underappreciated, and what did they do? They went and beat North Carolina and then beat Gonzaga and shot up to 4th in the country. Now they came back to earth a little bit, especially after Livers got hurt.
Yeah.
But man, there's a lot to get excited about. Franz Wagner's back, so you're going to see a lot of 3-point shooting, and you're going to see a lot of open space on the court with them.
And I hear that Juwan, Coach Howard is just letting Wagner just go loose. I heard he's letting him take the lead on a lot of things, which is good, man. I mean, kind of reminded me of like a Nick Stauskas back in the day when he just took control of the game. Even with Trey Burke there, he was a good player, but he was kind of in the shadows because Burke was such a phenomenal player. But then Nick Stauskas took that game over, and whenever you needed a 3, you got it. And so I'm excited to see what Wagner does there. And again, kind of building off of last year, like you said, man, we had big wins against Gonzaga and against North Carolina, and even got a win against Michigan State, which is huge. But then it seems like you said, we come back to earth a little bit, and we're in some of these games to where it's just like, man, we shouldn't be losing these games. Like, what's going on? And we get snuffed out, by Penn State. Remember that was a bad game, and I think Iowa or Purdue beat us at home one big night, and it was just like, man, you can tell they're not quite there, but you can tell Juwan is made really good adjustments in game and in season, and to see what he did with Teskey last year was super impressive. Now, I think Dickinson is, again, he's kind of the same body type, same person as Teskey, but I think I'm a little bit more. I want to say hopeful because Teskey was a great player, but I think we're gonna say Dickinson move around a little bit better, and it just seemed at times that Teskey was good, but then he was just off. And when you have a big man like that not being able to take the ball from the other team, rebounds, whatever it is, like he wasn't able to follow through with that consistently, and so it's just like, man, a guy of that size, what the heck's going on? And so I'm excited to see this lineup. I think it's really cool that Jace Howard is going to be there with his dad and playing. And not only that, but the dude's like 6'7", so he's huge. He's a big boy. So we have a lot of big people, and then the transfers obviously with Chandi Brown, and I forgot the other guy's name from Columbia. What's his name?
Mike Smith.
Mike Smith. That's right. I'm a little bit more high on Chandi Brown right now, just because again he played for a good conference. I mean, you have Duke and North Carolina there, so it's I'm a little bit more high on him. But we'll see what happens. And so, have you ever been to a Michigan game in Chrysler?
No, I that's actually one thing I haven't been able to do.
I haven't either. I was telling Becky up on the way here today, I was like, you know what? Because Kyle and I are canceling our Michigan Ohio State tickets next year. I just said, until we can prove that we can beat them, I'm not spending hundreds of dollars on that game. So I'm gonna, I want to be able to be proud of the team after we
For
leave that
sure.
stadium. So instead of that, we're gonna go up there next year and we're gonna go catch a game. It'll be my first game going to the Chrysler, and so that'll be pretty cool. But what's a win this season? I know you said making progress, continuing to get better. I think with the recruits, again, we have the number one recruiting class for I believe it was 2021. Awesome. Like I think in the next 5 years, I think Howard, if he continues to prove that he can coach on the floor, you can see that team in a potential national championship. I think it comes sooner, but I think by the end of the next 5 years, I think you'll see you could see a big possible national championship banner hanging from Chrysler. But for you, what's something specific that you need to see this year? What's a couple wins against a couple teams to where you're like, you know what, I can walk away from this season saying I'm feeling good about how we're continuing to move forward.
Yeah, so uh, number one win would be keep this recruiting class.
Yeah,
You know, this is so early on, and kids do certainly love to jump ship when they start to see, failure creep into a program. So if you can keep this recruiting class together, that would be huge. The second one would be 500 in the Big Ten,
yeah,
right? Like I said, I definitely consider this to be a gap year, but I think we're going to surprise some teams. I would love, of course, if we get a win against Old Sparty or maybe, against Wisconsin would be huge. But 500 in the Big Ten and maybe potentially, creep in and be a bubble team, I think would be great.
yeah,
Start getting your Dickinsons, your Zeb Jacksons, your Terrence Williams, and like you said, Baby Howard. If you guys get them some experience and some playing time, but and be able to contribute, that would be huge. And then obviously, we'd love to see Franz Wagner come back,
yeah.
but I think we all see the writing on the table because Caleb Houston I think is going to fit in just nicely next year in the maize and blue.
I think so too. And college basketball is just different, man. Like you're lucky to milk 3 years out of a guy and before they go pro. And so I'm hoping these guys can stay around for a couple years to give us a fun show to watch, but also too to develop their skills. I mean, you're being able to be developed underneath a solid coach, a guy from the Fab Five, a guy who played in the pros, played in the big leagues, and he helped coach down there when he was at Miami. And so man, soak it in, soak in the university, soak in the opportunity to be able to play with these guys around you and learn under this coach. And so hopefully we can get a couple years out of them. But yeah, man, I'm excited. I think their first game's kicking off here at the end of November or mid-November. I can't remember the exact day. I don't know if there's a full schedule. I know we're playing NC State to kick off the Big Ten versus ACC challenge, but I don't know anything after that. And so
I think there's still a lot up in the air that's still
yeah.
trying to get figured out.
Which again just goes to show the NCAA, man, you guys had almost a year to figure this thing out. Pro football is doing it, college football is doing it, hockey's coming back. Like, figure it out, man. Figure it out because we need it for sure. But moving on a little bit to hockey, which again, this is kind of a newer arena. Like college hockey isn't huge amongst a lot of people, a lot of and two, to break off point, I love that you're drinking out of the Lions Cup.
Loser coffee, bro.
Loser coffee. That's how it's got to be. I have a Chick-fil-A cup today because unlike our losing teams, the Lord never fails at producing us great chicken, manna from the sky. So, to moving on to hockey a little bit, and two, learning that like a guy can get recruited, can go play, but at the same time already get drafted to a team. So we have a couple guys who already went in the first 3 or 4 or 5 rounds. One of them going to San Jose, one of them going up to Vancouver, another guy going down to Las Vegas. And they're like 18, 19 years old or 20 years old, and they're still waiting to play their first year at Michigan. It's weird how that works. And so I don't expect them to stay super long, but Man, what's your experience with college hockey? I don't know if you watch much of it, or obviously down here in South Carolina, it's kind of hard to get some of those channels. But
Yeah, so college hockey, I can't say it like I'm super big into,
yeah,
and unfortunately, some of that is to the fault of the Red Wings, right?
yeah,
Like, I mean, all the way up till the past couple of years, I mean, the Red Wings is what we focused on when it came to hockey.
mm,
So I can't say I know a ton. Like, I don't have anything written down for
yeah.
Michigan hockey, but anything we can do to encourage them. I mean, look, don't forget that Michigan's women's softball team has been fantastic too. Like, it's a top 5 athletic program in the nation.
Oh yeah,
You
and
know,
and, and the women's softball coach is the winningest softball coach. Becky had learned me that a little while back, and so winningest softball coach. So again, that just brings a lot of great stuff to already a great university. And I was just looking up because I wasn't familiar because I know they lost a lot of guys last year. And dude, I caught on to them last year because they were a kind of a mediocre team where they didn't have a spotlight on them a whole lot, kind of like a basketball team. And dude, they just started smoking through the Big Ten tournament. Like they were killing teams. I think we were up on Michigan State like 2 games or something. Blew them out. COVID hit. Everything got canceled, and I was like, gosh, this kind of reminded me of a team I saw a couple years ago. I think it was in 2017, or 2000 March of 2018 when they went to the Frozen Four, and I think they got beat by Notre Dame. But it reminded me of a team that could get back there again. So, and especially when you have a top couple draft picks playing, yeah, I was excited. So I was just looking through here, and dude, they have a goalie who's 6'6", man. Usually when you're looking at hockey players, you're looking around, 5'10", 6'1" arena, but this dude's 6'6", which I'm pretty sure Osgood was about that height. I don't know. I don't know how tall he was. He was a big dude though.
so remember, Dominic Hasek was a monster.
Yeah, that is true.
He was one of the first like real tall guys that was able to be successful.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, I sent that video of I think it was '97 where Detroit got in that big brawl with Colorado. Darren McCarty came up
Oh
and just threw
yeah,
that haymaker. I forgot who that was. It was funny, man. But again, I think like you said, Detroit hockey.
Osgood and
Yeah,
beating on Patrick Wawa, baby. Yeah,
dude, those are good days, man. Again, I think they overlapped a lot of
that's
stuff because their hockey team was so good. I mean, we won 4 cups in 10 years, and so it kind of overlapped that stuff. But looking at this, man, like I was showing Becky a couple, I think it was about a month or so back when we beat Boston College for the national championship. The same year we won the national championship for football, and so dude, it was just all around a good year. And my high school from Michigan won their first state championship that year, so all around good year. My dad talks about it from time to time. But yeah, looking
97. What a year.
97, man. What a year. The good old days. We're walking uphill both ways from school. Got a lot of freshmen, a couple of sophomores, seniors. Looks like a couple Russian names here, but I'm just excited, man. It's really cool. Be good out
Yeah.
there. But yeah,
Maybe the Gulo's challenging us to get more into Michigan hockey.
I think so. I think so. It's just so hard because like I don't have like it's not huge in the college sports arena, and so, but for me, I watched it more so not for the stats and for the specific individuals, but just because I love Michigan and I do enjoy watching hockey, and so being able to see them on NBC a couple of times last year when they beat Notre Dame was really cool. But besides that, man, I couldn't watch them because I just didn't have anything. I didn't have the Big Ten Network, but now we have the Big Ten Network, so I'm hoping that they'll be on there more. But dude, Becky and I and Kyle, my brother and Tiff, and we went to the Big House a couple years ago for a game. We walked past the Yost Ice Arena, and man, it is so nice. I don't know if you've ever been by there, but it blends right into the rest of the campus with that beautiful brick and seeing pictures of even on the inside. I mean, we were peeking through the windows. We actually went inside. We're peeking through, and you could see the ice down there and the stands. It was just everything's beautiful on that campus, and so one of my dream goals next year, hopefully, is that we can go to Chrysler Arena for basketball games, and maybe we can jump over and go to a hockey game there. But yeah, man, if you're looking for a feel good memory, go look up the Boston College Michigan hockey game in '97, dude. It'll give you some chills. So I feel like I feel like that's all we have this year is just memories, because we just seem to be going through a low slump. But
Dude, as a general Michigan fan, that's what we do best is we bring up the memories, right?
I mean,
I will still bring up the 2006 Maglio Ordonez walk-off home run just when I need a pick-me-up.
That's the one I
right?
need to pick me up.
You said the other day you had to watch the fight where we beat the snot out of the Avalanche, right?
Yeah.
And then in that game 7, we beat them 7-0 to shut them up,
That's right, dude.
That's what we do. That's what we do. We drink loser coffee and we talk about the good days.
We talk about the good days.
And then we'll get all fired up and be like, Brandon Pettigrew was held in that Cowboys playoff game.
Dude,
That flag should not have been picked up.
Never. I can't believe that they did that. Well, maybe our next segment that you come on, we'll have to do a quick recap of whatever game Michigan plays, and we'll just have to talk about our favorite Detroit sports moments, because as bad as our football team is, man, there have been a lot of exciting moments, and our hockey team has been great. I mean, Iserman is really going to bring that team back. I think AJ Hinch is going to do good with the ball club. They're a farm team, but it'd be cool to see them chase a pennant again here sooner than later. Pistons are awful, but goodness sakes, they're playing under the Little Caesars roof with the Red Wings, and so that's cool.
But we got the 04 Bad Boys.
We got the 04 Bad
once
Boys,
again, memories
reincarnated, and they beat the Lakers. I think it was 3-1 in that series they won, and so I was able to witness that. So there's been a lot of great moments for us, but unfortunately, recently there's been a lot of heartache, and so, but yeah, man. Well, I'm excited to hear from you this weekend as I'm on my hike, and I can look at my phone whenever I'm done with the day, and I can see the text. I'm not even gonna look at the score of the game. I'm just gonna look down at my phone and see what the heck is going on. And so, but yeah, man, go blue. And I'm just super thankful that you're able to come on the show again with us today.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it, and go blue.
All right, man.